Hello, everyone. It is time for Confidence Strategies 101. I'm Carmen Milagro. I'm a confidence strategist and entrepreneurist, and I'm your host of Confidence Strategies 101. Many of you probably already know that really this whole concept was designed to share and showcase positive stories, personal stories, members of our own communities, from all over the U.S. And today we're going to be connecting with the Southwest. We're connecting with Arizona. Why do we do what we do? It's pretty simple. We have conversations about different ideas. We get to share different perspectives. And the bottom line is that I'm bringing guests who are willing to share resources, they're willing to share their stories, their networks, they are open to spending time with us, and sometimes we get insights and advice for things that we may not even realize it at the time, but it may change your life. I remember conversations and stories that I have had with people throughout my life that I go back to and draw from, because sometimes I need reassurance of something, sometimes I need a reminder. So I'm so grateful for each and every guest that comes and gives of their time and their energy and their wisdom and their knowledge, and they're all willing to share it with you, with me, with all of us. And hopefully in the process, you find some nuggets of insight and inspiration or pops of confidence. That's really at the very core. That is the base for these weekly webisodes. As always, we love it when you engage and you ask questions and you share the videos or you make comments. And so we welcome that. I always try to get back with everyone on everything that I can. And if I don't know the answer, I'll find out for you. This episode also is, as usual, sponsored by Music City Hit Factory. There's lots going on with Music City. I will be able to share a lot more in the next few months, but suffice it to say, we are planning something very special. We're hopeful for the future, and for me, that speaks volumes. So thank you, as always, to Music City Hit Factory for the sponsorship and the support. Tonight's guest is originally from Norway, but tonight she's joining us from Arizona. And like many women, she wears a multitude of different hats all the time, not just every once in a while. She wears these hats all the time. She's an award-winning author. She's a business owner. She's an advisor. She's a mentor to many of us. And more importantly, I think, or one of the most important critical components of who she is she is a humanitarian in the truest, most beautiful definition of the word. And she supports other women entrepreneurs. She's also a mother with a mission. She wants to teach acceptance to children ages 4 to 9 so that when they grow up, they are amazing, supportive, and loving teenagers, and they don't easily succumb to the pressures of being a teenager or a tweenager, and they hopefully don't fall into that arena where they're getting bullied. And that comes from self-confidence. So naturally, she was the perfect guest to have on tonight. I would like to introduce you to Anita Telle. Hi, Anita.
Hello.
I'm so happy. Thank you for joining us on Confidence Strategies 101 tonight. I'm just super excited that you're here and you're able to spend some time with us. Can we just jump right in and just get to know you a little bit better? I mean, I know you, but I would love for our viewers to sort of, we'll take them down this path of your life, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Okay.
Where do you want to start?
Let's see. Okay. How about, since you did grow up in a different country than the United States, What was it like growing up in Norway? What was it like for you?
It was. I always said that, when I came to the United States, that, people were talking about Leave It to Beaver type of thing. I didn't even know what it was because I didn't watch it in Norway. But
Right.
my parents, my mom and dad, they were both, well, Second World War. My mom was 5 years old and my dad was 10. And my father's dad, he was executed by the Nazi because he worked the underground. So when my parents became parents, they wanted us to have like a Leave It to Beaver kind of a beautiful, beautiful childhood, which is what I was blessed to have. And Norway is it's a small country. It's now it's 5 million people, and it's one of the richest countries in the world because
Right.
of the oil production, and so there is no poverty. And I grew up in a very loving, very, very close family. I always say when I meet people from South America, they're kind of the way that they they are so into their families and stuff like that. That's very much Norwegian. We um, we just love to get together and be together and spend time together and nature, and we I had a beautiful, wonderful childhood. And then I decided after college that I want to explore the world. And I'd already been traveling in Europe and seen a lot of gorgeous places there, but I want to go to the United States and especially San Francisco. So I don't know what it was, Golden Gate Bridge or whatever. But so I came to the United States, and just ended up getting married over here, and and adopting a beautiful child from Ukraine. He was 15 months when I adopted him, and so it's been quite a fairy tale. And then starting up a business and having business partners, and we grew our business that we have 10 stores and 110 employees, and so I was very into my career. And then after I sold that business is when Brandon was adopted, and so then that became the most amazing time of my life, is being a mom to Brandon, and also the fact that he was born with a cleft palate and a cleft lip. So I was it was a beautiful thing to watch him. He was much better at it than me, but watch him being able to um, respond to people when or mostly children, when they said, what's wrong with you and what happened to you because of, he had the surgery.
Right.
And he was very kind and he explained, what it was about. Where I just, I was just like, wow, mom.
You're a protective mama.
So as he grew, a little older and stuff like that, I decided that my gift to him was to start writing children's books. My intention was to write one,
Right.
and it was called A Little Different, All Perfect, and that was kind of like a little love story to my son, and it was very personal, and it ended up winning the San Francisco Book Festival, and so then kind of like a snowball started rolling, and I wrote some other ones, all with social issues, about getting to know your inner self, and how you deal with the elders and your grandparents and stuff like that. So yeah, so that's kind of my story.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. And we're going to dive deep in some areas too, because I remember reading something, or maybe you told me this at your house, but I do remember this. You said when you were younger and you were still in Norway that you saw a poster that really sort of inspired you in a way that you hadn't seen, or could you, I'm not telling the story very well, so you just
Yeah, it was really actually it was I had just come to the United States.
Oh, okay.
And, so I was here, and I went into this printer, and he had a poster
Okay.
up on the wall, and it has a little boy on it, and the boy had his hands folded, and it says, "God don't make no junk." And I was just like,
I
I
love that.
just looked at it, and then I thought, huh. And then I was doing my stuff, and then I looked at it again, and then I said, wow, yes, That is so true. We are all so beautifully perfect just the way we are. And
Right.
it just became one of those things that always stayed with me.
Yeah.
Kind of, when you sometimes go and you see like one commercial or whatever it is, and to someone it just got, it doesn't have any effect on them.
Right.
But to
Right.
you, that one particular thing, whether it's whatever it is that one thing that sticks with you. And that thing there, it has been there. And I just thought it's just so true,
Right.
you know, because we really, every single one of us are just so beautifully special just the way we are. And when I deal with children and I talk to children, I often talk about snowflakes and how all the
Right.
snowflakes are different and how they're just so perfectly beautiful.
Right.
And so it did have a lot. I think that my thoughts and how I look at life had a lot to do with my parents having gone through such uh, horrible thing as the Second World War as children.
Right.
And the place that I grew up, every single house was burned. The men over 16 were taken to Germany concentration camps. So my parents just did everything in their power to make sure that my siblings, I have a sister and a brother, that we never had to ever worry about anything like that. And they also were very, especially my dad, he really wanted to make sure that I understood the gift of freedom, the
Right.
gift of being able to, go out and speak my language, and be able to be me, and to be able to also have a sensitivity and a kindness towards others, and to try to look at find the good in someone, whatever that good might be.
Right.
There's it's that can be hard, and
Sure.
but my dad was always, you have to find that good, that little shimmer. And my mom had a really good saying that she always said to me. She said, honey, she said, the what was she said, the shimmer in the eye is the light in the window that tells you that the heart is home.
Oh, that's so
And
beautiful.
and so she always said that. So she said, always pay attention to like people's eyes, and
Right.
because that is how you get to know them. It doesn't matter, whether you're round, skinny,
Correct.
whatever color skin or hairdo or whatever it is. It's pay attention to those eyes. And so I just love that little. She said kind of things like that all the time.
Right.
And also when sometimes I would get discouraged, growing up and stuff like that, she always said, oh honey, she said, the most beautiful paintings has a lot of colors in them, and some of them has to be dark. And
Wow.
I was like, yeah, you know what, mom, that's right.
Yeah. Oh, that wisdom and that love. I mean, I can just as you're describing it, I'm just getting like goosebumps because I think that those of us that are fortunate to have parents or a parent or a grandmother or an auntie or whoever that person is, or people are, it really sets the tone for the type of person that you have the potential to be.
Right,
And I think that that's sort of like the way that I see our relationships, and how we learn from different people, and different people come into our lives, and not everyone stays forever.
right.
But that there's these brush strokes that help to create the tapestry of who we are as human beings on this planet.
Yeah.
um, I was curious if you could, like, do you recall? I mean, I know that when we're teenagers, things are a whole different perspective, right? The things that were so important when we're 14 really don't matter when you're 50. But having said that, do you recall moments where you had challenges, or and and how did you draw upon your own self-confidence, or was it that you were fueled by your parents, by the love and the advice and the caring, or was it a combination of both?
I think it was a combination of both. And one of the things that was hard on me as a teenager was that I was quite thin, and I was tall. And so I was so they had nicknames like the Eiffel Tower, and
Right.
stuff like that. But so that was a little hard. I had some insecurities about that and stuff like that. And I think that I was blessed enough to have I had some very strong women in my life. My grandmother, I took, both grandmas, but especially my father's mother, who lost her husband
Mhm.
when she was 30 years old, and had, she had just given birth to, to the baby. My grandpa never even got to see the baby, and so she had 5 kids that she raised on her own. And then my great grandma, she had been, she worked the underground too, and she had been tortured. And so I remember that when it started getting, kind of, I felt sorry for myself,
Mhm.
and I was like, oh my goodness, they say that, or they, that silly thing you do when you're 12, 13, 14 years old.
Right.
And, and so anyway, and so then I remember I really did, get a lot of strength from my grandma,
Right.
and also my father, when I was a little pumpkin, I was like 6 years old. My dad had a very serious accident, and
Oh,
so and with that accident, he was in the hospital for 6 days in a coma, and the doctors told my mom that he probably, he's not going to live, and if he does live, he's going to be a vegetable. And
right.
she just looked at them and she said, no. She said, he's going to be just fine, because I've been praying and God has told me that I don't have anything to worry about. So
Wow.
anyway, so my dad did come back. He did wake up, but he had no short term memory. And so I grew up in a home, and this is what's so interesting, is that I grew up in a home. I'm 6 years old. I didn't really understand. Just knew dad was, had been in an accident, and I didn't
Mhm.
really understand much about it. My
Sure.
mom had to be gone, so we had to stay with aunt and uncle because she was at 24/7. And so he was in the hospital for probably about a month or so, and he came back home. And to me, he was just the same dad, but you know, he um, he had no short-term memory.
Sure.
And so it was interesting because mom made it so we didn't really even understand that, or me, my
Mhm.
siblings are a lot older than me, but
Right.
I didn't really understand that I did not grow up in a normal home, because my mom made everything so normal that the fact that she always had to make sure that the heater was turned off and the doors were locked and all that stuff.
Right.
um, I never ever really thought much about that my dad was disabled,
Sure.
because he did go to work, and and stuff like that. And so yes, it was really interesting. But the one thing my father always showed me was to know who I am, to
Right.
know that I am one of those snowflakes that is special.
Right.
He wanted to make sure, very it was really important for him that I knew how to take care of myself, that I went to school, that
Mhm.
I made sure that I got a good job, that I knew how to change a tire, put oil,
Right.
put oil in my car,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. It was very important for him, and he always made sure, and also my mom too, that I knew who I was, and to um, also to really care for others. That was so important for my parents. So it just became a part of kind of like the DNA,
Right.
you know.
Exactly. Right. And that's so, that's really something, right, where you have people who are the examples in your life, but a lot of people also have really wonderful examples, but they don't necessarily choose to follow those examples. So some people, I mean, for me, it's like, you were talking about looking at someone's eyes and to see that light. I also feel like you can see kindness. You can feel kindness that
Yeah,
emanates from people, and it's a choice.
yeah,
We choose to be unkind or kind,
yeah,
and I think that that's something where when you're confident in who you are, that I believe, I believe you have every reason to be kinder, and it's easier to be kinder when you are comfortable in your own skin.
absolutely.
And and when we have those gifts that are bestowed upon us, I don't understand why everyone doesn't, have this.
Yeah.
Um, if you were to say that I know that you mentioned earlier that you really, when you started writing the children's books, it was really sort of this gift, for Brandon. But was it also very strategic in the way that you were raising him, aside from writing the books? But in the way I feel like when we've had this conversation at your home, and I was really struck by you didn't really baby him.
No, no, because what I felt that I really needed to do was to for him to really realize that, like you were saying, you have choices. One of the things I did with him when he was very little, probably about 4 or 5 years old, someone had said something to him that hurt it, like he said, it hurt my heart. you
Oh,
know. And so what I did is he had these little Legos, the little Legos, Darth Vader, and whatever,
right.
whatever. And so he had these, and so I thought I'm going to show him something. And I took the two little Legos and I put them on the table, and I had a little tennis ball, and I said, Brandon, I said, why don't you roll that and see what happens to them? So he rolled it, and of course they fell down,
Right.
and so I said, okay. I said, no, mommy's going to take it and she's going to put it in a glass. So I put it in a glass and I said, roll the ball. So he rolled the ball, and of course it hit the glass, and they did not fall down. So I said to him, I said, honey, I said, that is, we can call that a shield, a bully shield. And I said, and you can imagine, you can come up with whatever color it is, whatever shape it is, whatever it looked like. But I said, you have a shield that is your protection. And so when the words come or whatever, it hits that. It does not hit your heart. And so he started kind of, I guess, imagining this. He thought, well, that's your thing. That's not my thing. He used his hand. That's your thing. That's not my thing. When someone said something to him, um, I
That's so
also made sure
powerful.
that he. I also made sure, like, no, we would be traveling, and so he was little, but he was old enough to read, and so I made sure that he knew. Well, you take us to the gate now. Yeah, well, I said, no, you have. We're working on you becoming independent, and this is so we turned it into like a game, but at the
Mhm.
same time he realized that, okay, if I'm going to be flying, I need to pay attention to these things. I need to pay attention to that is the number of the plane that I'm going on, and there is the gate. Now I need to find the gate, just stuff like that. And
Mm.
then he felt he was very proud of himself, and I made sure that that I was very proud of him and told him so.
Right.
And it made him want to, and it made him feel comfortable and confident in his abilities to solve for solutions. And so
Yes.
he didn't come running to me all the time. He tried to figure things out,
Right.
and I think that sometimes you do hold their hand and you guide them, and then
Right.
you also do allow them to let go for a little bit, and they might fall down and hit their knee, whatever. But that's part of life. This is how I feel. I'm not
Right.
saying that's right for everybody, but this
Right.
really it did work for my son, and he, as he was growing older, of course, the issue with being born with a
Right.
cleft palate and all these things was something that that he handled. He handled it.
Well, I can definitely attest to that. I mean, from the moment that I met you and Brandon, I thought, wow, what an extraordinary, I mean, he was young. I mean, I know he's a grown man now, but I mean, he was just, and it wasn't that long ago, but what a difference it makes, right? Like, I mean, I think we're at a whole different stage in our lives.
Yeah.
But the difference in just a couple of years, like a few years with him, I mean, he's a young man now.
18
I,
years old.
I see the photos and I'm just like, wait, he was just a little boy not that long ago. So I can only imagine what your experience is. But the two things that I noticed right away, the moment that we greeted each other, was his poise and his self-confidence.
Yeah.
And then, of course, as I got to know him and I spent more time with you, it was his kind heart.
Yeah.
I mean, that is just, it's so prominent. It's just so like there, like you can't miss it. Neither in his mom or in him. So
Oh, thank you. No, he's really a very cool teenager.
yeah.
And it was really funny because he started growing his hair out.
Yeah.
So his hair now is down to right here, and he
Uh-huh.
wasn't in a man bun.
Right.
We live in Arizona. There's not a lot of people with man buns around
Right.
here. And it was really interesting because he said, "Well, Mom, that's who I am," and he's very comfortable in his own skin, and that's pretty cool.
Beautiful. That's so beautiful. And I feel like, this inspiration, I mean, you could almost say he started you on your career as an author, really.
Absolutely. No, he did.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it really changed my life. And I think that, and especially now in this kind of hard time with COVID, and yeah, I was watching a video. I don't know if I've sent it to you or not, but I was watching a video. These two children, I would guess they were about 10 years old or whatever, and they were for the first time allowed to meet each other again, because everybody had been locked up, and they met each other and they hugged,
And they
and then there was a zoom in on the love. It was like I almost started crying. It
oh,
was
I
so sweet. It was so sweet. And when we realized that there are so many things that we're so busy, but just to show love to the people around, and that hug. My son, he doesn't go. He hugs me every day, and he's 18 years old, and he always goes, "I love you, Mom," and he hugs me. And I remember when he was like 16, and around his friends and stuff like that, I was like, now he's going to be embarrassed to give his mom a hug type of thing. I didn't say anything.
right.
He never was. He always would say, he didn't care who was around. He said, "Love you, Mom. Thank you."
Right. Yeah.
So,
No, that's incredible. Could we talk a little bit about, I know that, in writing this book and, he's the inspiration for this beautiful journey, but it's not, I mean, you have impacted not just your son, you have impacted, I would say, thousands of children, and by my estimation, but I could be wrong. But your books and your Boo Boo Bears, can you tell us a little bit about, the concept, who's Gnomy, and where how many countries and how many, I'd love to just really, because I don't know that much. I know a little bit about what I've seen on Facebook, but I just feel like there's a lot that I don't know about what's going on with Boo Boo Bears.
so due to my son's cleft palate, he very often had ear infections, and so we would take a sock, put rice in it, put it in a microwave, get it warm, and then put it on his ear. So then I came up with this idea, because growing up in Norway, we have these little gnomes. We call them nisse, but we have these little gnomes, and so I thought, they're always these mystical little creatures. So the idea is kind of mixing a little bit of Norwegian with with an ear infection.
Right.
And so I said, Gnomy can be a boo boo bear, so I can, a boo boo bear maker. And so boo boo bear, when you have an owie, then, so I started making these little bears that I filled with rice, and I draw faces on them and give them a blessing and a name and a personality. And the reason for that is that the uniqueness in all of us, and especially in little children, um, the Booba Bears, they all have little different personalities. Like one, loves the universe and loves to do these things. Another one might like the forest, the ocean, sport, whatever it is. And so then the child, when they read their stories, they connect with them because they have the same interest in them, and they feel this friendship with them, and they make them feel good. And it's interesting because I don't think I told you this story, but it's kind of funny. So I
Uh-huh.
started making all these Boo Boo Bears, and people were buying them, and
Right.
this lady bought quite a few of them for a birthday party, and then she gave them as gifts to all these children that came.
Aw.
So I was sitting having a pedicure, and I'm sitting
Uh-huh.
in this chair, and this lady starts talking to me about this Boo Boo Bear and stuff, and I was just like, wow, that's really cool. And
Uh-huh.
so then so then she showed a picture, and it was one of my Boo Boo Bears, and I was like, oh my goodness. And I said, oh, I created those. And
Yeah.
she's sitting right next to me, and she's like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. She goes, you're the Boo Boo Bear maker. And I'm going, huh? Never heard myself being called a Boo Boo Bear maker.
Right.
So
Right.
anyway, so it just started kind of taking its own journey.
Yeah.
They they're with the books, and then I started being in an entrepreneur group that there are people from all over the world, and I told my story. A lot of them wanted the Boo Boo Bears, so then they started taking the Boo Boo Bear with them to different countries.
Uh-huh.
My books were sent to South Africa. It has been read to over 30,000 children. So you were right about that. There've been, a lady took it to schools in Spain, been to India, and 200 of my books um, has been was actually donated, and that was the other books, the Ultimate Anti-Bullying Solutions Guide for Parents, and so that was donated there. I've been to Egypt, to a school there. Got a lot of beautiful pictures of these kids with my books.
Yeah.
Same in South Africa, um, Iceland, Poland, Germany, um, Canada, um, France. I said India, Australia, New Zealand.
They've traveled more than I have.
All of it. It has been to many places that I just, oh wow, I wish I was
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
So it has been it's been going, traveling, and brought love and understanding and kindness. And one of my goals is to be able to, whether that is like a blog or of course it would be love to have it on like a Zoom, but where children from different countries, where you can kind of talk and
Yeah.
talk about just the daily life, and to focus on the things we have in common instead of what separate us. And we have so much in common. It's unbelievable. And that was one of the things I forgot to tell you this, which is a big part of who I am. When I was a little girl, about 10, 12 years old, I started having pen pals all over the world. So I had over 90 pen pals, and actually some of my pen pals I'm still friends with, like Irene in Switzerland, Ramon in
Wow.
Hawaii, and and a lot of Diane in Wisconsin. And
Uh-huh.
we have known each other a lifetime, and we started as pen pals. But in doing that, I realized, that we have so much more in common. And
Right.
my friends in Japan, and we just have so much more in common than what separates us. And then
Right.
when you make a choice, because like you said, it's about choices. When you wake up in the morning, you have a decision to make. You can say, oh, this is going to be a really bad day. I'm going up, I'm not yet,
Right.
and go like that. Or you can say, wow, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that when I open my eyes, I can see. When I
Right.
put those feet on the floor, I can walk.
Right.
And it's just it's a beautiful thing to do, and it's a beautiful thing to teach your children
Right.
uh, about gratitude, because life goes so fast. It's like that. And You just want to enjoy every single day. And that is one thing that another of those things that you never forget. And that is, my son and I were sitting at the breakfast table, and he is about maybe 7. I'm not sure, 6, 7 years old. And he said
Mhm.
to me, he goes, "Mom," he said, "we only have the now, the right now." He goes, "Because what happened yesterday, you can't do anything about it. And what's going to happen tomorrow, you're just going to have to deal with it tomorrow." And I thought to myself, what a very deep thing to say. At the same time, how very sweet and innocent and
Yeah.
childlike, to come to that conclusion. Because he's so right. What we have is the now. And we have a choice to be good to each other. We have a choice to help each other. We have a choice to just focus on what it is that makes us care as human being. We're a human race,
Yeah.
and
And
it's just gratitude is, I think, is something that should be taught in every single year in school and through life.
yes. I mean, I know a lot of adults that could use some of these lessons because I find sometimes, not everyone, but sometimes, you know, people people are very crafty. They're very clever. People can observe and they can learn to say what is proper, what is politically correct. They can learn to say what, they can, I don't know how to explain it, but not everyone is genuine. I basically at the end of the day, and that was a lesson that I had to learn. Actually, I'm still learning it.
Yeah,
Where I I want to believe that kindness is in everyone. That when someone meets me or I meet them for the first time, my assumption is that I've met a new friend
yeah,
until or if that is proven to be wrong. But what I love about our conversations whenever I talk to you, I always feel this. It's so genuine. It is so from the heart. Like I never feel that you don't really mean what you say, but there are a lot of people. I think I'm becoming more sensitive or smarter about sussing that out because I would love to believe that everyone is as genuine as you and how we're being right now. We truly live and breathe this.
yeah,
Um, but that's not the case. I still struggle with that. Some people will look you in the eye and they will be really kind to you to your face, and then the minute you turned around, it's a whole different story. So there's something about, I don't know. I think that whole saying of, alike, when you're alike and you're aligned with someone, that those are the people that you draw into your life. And I
absolutely.
really believe that
No,
hundred
I
percent.
believe that too. I really do believe that. I
Yeah,
have to tell you, I just came back from going home to Norway,
right,
and it was really difficult because of COVID, and Americans cannot travel, and I have a U.S. passport, and
right,
so I came to the airport, and they were like, you can't go, and I said, no, I have a letter from the doctor, I have to go and see mom.
right,
But the what is so amazing when I go home, and I've lived in the States for, I don't know, gosh, when did I get here? A long time, 27 years, I think. And
hmm,
yeah, a long time. And the thing is that when I go home, I have these 3 girlfriends, and we always make an effort to connect. And
right,
it's almost like we are the same little rugrats as when we were 6, 7 years old, and we were friends.
right.
And here we are all, getting ready to be grandmas, and it's just so unique. So I feel that you are so right that when you connect with someone, it is just that it doesn't matter that I've been here for so many years. When I go home, it's the same love connection, the
Right.
a wonderful, wonderful experience. And
Absolutely. And what I've noticed right from the get-go when I first met you is that you take all of this and you actually live and breathe it in your business too, in your businesses too. I mean, I was introduced to you by our mutual beautiful friend Rosalia, and you did not hesitate 1 second when I asked for advice, when I asked for your insight. Like you are so giving and you apply all of this kindness to your business, which I feel, I believe that that is why some people are so incredibly blessed, not just because they're smart at business, not just because they've got the right product at the right time, but because of their full on integrated, the way that they do business is based on their same core principles in their personal life. And that's what I see when I see what you do, all the different projects, all the different businesses and how you move through the world. That's what I see. And I think that that is something that I'm absolutely drawn to that. But I wonder if you could sort of, I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Like maybe you need to correct me, but that is, I feel like you take all those kindness principles and that's how you do business.
well, I also think that to me it's the logical thing to do, because I cannot change the world by myself, but I can be someone that helps to change. And then what I feel and I hope is that the people that I have helped start up businesses or helped in whatever way that is, that they pay it forward. And I think that in doing so, many times, I tell people when they ask for my advice, and I always says, now I want you to take time to help someone else that's there and would like to know and need help and stuff like that. And then it just goes forward. And when if people do that and they just take that extra little time to do that, because it doesn't have to do that I don't have time. It has to do with it is a priority. You
Right.
make your priorities. You can take, an hour, whatever it is, once a week or whatever it is. You can take that hour and donate that hour to someone in need, or someone that wants to start up a business that doesn't really understand some of the branding or doesn't understand
Right.
certain things. And you can give that to them, and then they will help someone else. And then by doing that, more people, and a lot of people are already doing it, I'm certainly not the only one, it
Right.
grows. It grows and
Exactly.
grows and grows and grows. And we can create a chain of kindness. And we can
Right.
create the chain of kindness all around the globe. And
Right.
you can just imagine everybody holding hands around this globe, and that warmth and that love can be there. There is no reason why we can't have goodness and have love, because my goodness gracious, we are here for how long?
Exactly.
Why not spend a time um, you know enjoying life and enjoying the people around you? And
Yeah.
and I'm not so gullible that I don't understand and know that there's pain,
Right. Of
because
course.
we know that. And but I but and that is so sad. And and I've worked with CASA, and I've seen, I've worked with children in in foster care and stuff like that. And it's tough, and it's really tough. But that child has is as loved and is as special and as wonderful as someone that is not in foster care.
Right.
And if we can get that message out there, I think it can change people's life.
Absolutely. Would you like to share some of the work that you're one of the founders in Santa Cruz?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Santa Cruz Children's Charities, that I founded that with, I'm a board member there with some of my friends from Santa Cruz. Lori, my partner in my business, Lori Brown, she, she and, a few other girls and me, and there's like 9 of us. And we have been doing Santa Cruz Children's Charities now for like 13, 14 years. And CASA has been one that we have been helping. We have been all these children. We have made sure that they get to pick a pair of shoes that they want once a year. So they can get their Vans if they're teenager and whatever. And so we do all these, or not all, we do one big charity event every year, and we help a lot. We helped the people up in Sacramento last year with the fires that lost everything. We have helped Operation Smile, and that comes from my son with the cleft palate. We want to give back to them. We do program or help people that do programs working with handicapped children, autistic children. Good dog program down in San Diego, and just a lot of things that we help with the charity, and it's very rewarding, and it's great to see the difference. And there's a story that I think is really really kind of cute. I started the shoe program just with myself, and then just started giving these shoes to these kids, and then one time I was told that this was foster care. I was told that the story about this little girl that came in to I don't know if it was Casa. Yeah, I think it was Casa. And she came in and she was walking around, and they saw these little wet spots on the floor, and they said, "What is that from?" And she had walked through a puddle, so her sock was wet because she had a hole in her shoe.
Oh.
And so she lifted her foot up and she looked at it, and there's this big hole. And so she looked at the lady and she said, "Oh, don't worry about it. The shoe fairy is going to come pretty soon and give me new shoes." And so when I heard that story, I said, I can't stop doing this. So I talked to Lori and I talked to Anita and some of the other ladies, and I said, can we take on this program, because I can't do it all by myself anymore? And they go, "Oh yeah, sure." So then it became a part of that. But it was so neat because you don't really think that the things that you're doing, that it really make a difference, but they do. It really makes a difference. And another time I was at an event, and this little girl came over, and she was I would guess she was like 9, 10 years old. And she came over and she loved my Boo Bear, and she said, "I'm going to go and ask my mom if I can buy it." And so she ran to her mom, and her mom came back, and so we started talking, and her mom said that she said, "We're putting her in, we're changing school. This is the third time because of bullying." Oh my! I felt so sorry for this beautiful little girl. And so her mom was changing schools, and then and her mom ended up, she bought the Boo Bear, and I gave her all the books. I was like, "Oh, take all the books."
Of course, right.
And so anyway, and the little girl was smiling, and she gave me a hug. And about 6 months later, I was at a school, and I'm sitting there, and I started reading my books and stuff like that, and there's a lot of children there, a lot of kids. And then as I'm leaving and right before I'm leaving, one of these little girls goes, "Oh, I have the book. I've got it at the library." And so I said, "Well, that's wonderful." And so then another one said, "Oh, I have the Boo Boo Bear." And I said, "Great." And then so I thought that was pretty cool. I packed up
Right.
and this little girl comes running over to me, and so she just hugs me, and she won't let go of me. And so I just, I kind of petted her head, and so, and she looked up at me and she smiled, and I said to her, "You're beautiful, and all these things." And then she just looked at me, and I said, "I've seen her before," and it was a little girl from 6 months earlier, and she recognized me, and when I left that classroom, here she is, and she's in a school where they care enough to have people come and and read about these things, to discuss these things, to talk about the words that we choose to use. And when I walked out, because I walked out and I said to myself, I made a difference. And it just gave me this almost like a recharge, because after a while, when you go to school after school after school, and you see all these children but you don't see them again,
Right.
and so here was this little girl, and I made a difference, and it just was like my battery got charged. It was really a neat experience.
Absolutely. And I mean, and you're, to me, that's the definition of superhero. Where you impact, and I say this all the time when I do work with I love working with young people and I love working with little ones and specifically in the area of music. And
Yeah.
I am still connected to some of those little ones that I met when I was running my nonprofit, and they're teenagers now and they still reach out, like, because they feel safe. They, I mean, I don't get to see them all the time. I haven't gone through their entire journey with them necessarily, but there's that connection. And that to me is worth everything.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, I just love talking to you. You're such an inspiration, and I thank you so much. Because I do feel energized and I do feel recharged, listening to these stories. I felt like when you were talking about the little girl who said the shoe fairy is coming, I feel like there's a book in there somewhere.
Yeah, the great things, like, because I made a decision, to write those, write those books, and I want them to
I
be,
see one right behind you.
yeah, yeah. That's old but not expired. Uh, but I had people come over and ask me if, can you write a book explaining in a simple way autism with your character? Can you do you know how how difficult it is to have certain skin disorder or something like that? And so there is a lot of there's a lot of people that has reached out to me and want me to tell their story. And one particular person, he was blind, and he was just talking about his childhood growing up and as being blind,
Right.
and how one time he decided to just test his dad's car, and he turned it on and he started driving it.
Right.
It wasn't a good thing, but just there are so many stories, and so many beautiful people that have wonderful stories that needs to be told.
Well, I for one cannot wait for the next book. I have your set, which actually, by the way, we should probably talk about. You know, um, you talked about earlier about just doing, helping people wherever we can, and that's what I explain and what I try to to keep going forward with the Tuesday night show, because I do feel like, and I know because I get emails and I get texts like you, and I love it when, even if it's one person who will see this video, but that one person feels empowered or enabled, or they get excited about something that they were thinking of doing but they weren't sure, and or they get inspired. Like, to me, it's all worth it. Well, I have another program which you are also a part of, which is Reading Ritual, and I am so excited because the format for 2021 is going to change, and you're going to be our inaugural first author on Reading Ritual.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you. What an honor.
I'm so excited. I can't wait. And just to give you a little bit of a background, what's happened in the last few months with that, series of YouTube videos is, there's a friend, a colleague, another woman who I respect greatly, and she's a publisher. I write for her magazine on a regular basis. She moved. She's in Tennessee. I can't remember exactly where, but she now would like to start a Reading Ritual program in the town where she's in Tennessee. So, like you said earlier, sometimes we don't know exactly the impact that we are able to create or to help, but I think that the universe has a way of, like you said, like, we get these reminders and, oh, that's where that went,
Yeah.
So I'm super excited, and I'm going to help her with whatever she needs, and they're going to start doing it in Tennessee as well.
Well, I was in Tennessee for 4th of July because my cousin moved from California to Tennessee.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
Okay. Well,
I think it's about an hour and a half outside Nashville. Hmm.
oh, okay. I love Nashville, by the way. So, but yeah, I'm thinking already that once they get rolling, perhaps I can connect you all. And, it's just, I want to do whatever I can to support the, just everyone should know about Boo Boo Bears as far as I'm concerned.
Well, and that is so exciting because I've been on the radio show down here in Arizona many times, and it's a program that takes children from school, maybe kids that have a hard time at home, and it's the young reporters. And so what happened is these young reporters, so it is the funniest thing ever. I've been there many times, and there's probably about, I would say, like 4 to 6 guests, like
Uh-huh.
adults. And then you
Uh-huh.
have all these little rugrats between 7 and 12 years old, and they ask questions. And they'll ask all these questions, and they have no filters, and it
Right.
is so funny. And they'll just ask, we have this very successful businessman, he was on there. And then one of them said, what was the first job you had? And he said, well, I was a busboy. And even though this guy has like made millions of dollars, is super successful, the only thing they asked him about the whole time was how did it feel to be a busboy? And so it was, and they had all these questions, and it just really made them, after having gone through this, the semester, and and then been able to get to the radio station and do this young reporter, and have all these questions, and talk to everybody. We had guests from politicians to business owners to artists to music to whatever it is, and these kids got to do that and felt so special about being able to interview these people, and I kind of have it on their resume that they were a little reporter, and it was a beautiful experience. And now
Oh,
with
I
COVID, it's
love.
closed, down
Yeah,
and stuff. But
of
we hope
course.
to be able to get back, and do that. And
Oh,
Boo Boo so they loved the Boo Boo Bear. They want to know where he had been and how did I come up with the idea, and and it was just really neat, and and it was live, and we and like I said, there was no filters for these kids. They asked the funniest things. What do you like for breakfast? In the middle of talk. It's just like so funny. It was great. It was an awesome time.
I love it. I think that this is, these types of conversations for me are, again, it's the fuel for, just to talk to someone else who understands that not everything that I do is about advancement or money. Like,
But
I love the world of business.
yes,
Don't get me wrong. I love it. I get a charge out of it. I thrive. I love challenges. I love puzzles and all of that. And I've had a lot of different careers. But what really fills me with joy is working with children and trying to impart some, whether it's kindness or whether it's educational, whether it's music, just opening up the doors for their
yes,
life.
yes,
That's what really, like, at the end of the day, it's not always about money.
yes.
And I know that some people don't understand that and they frown on it or they don't believe it or whatever. But that's never stopped me before. It sure as hell
Yeah,
isn't going to stop me now.
right. Yes. No, it's true. It really
Yeah.
is true.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, I just, you are such a light in my life. And
Oh,
I really, really appreciate it because you do all these things and you are wearing a gazillion hats and you have multiple businesses and you are, by that definition of, like, you're super, super successful and established, and yet you still help other women, you still help other entrepreneurs, and you care for the children of this planet. So thank you.
thank you. Thank you for having me. It was
I'm
wonderful. It was
I'm so
fun.
happy that we did this.
Yeah.
How do people connect with you to learn more about Boo Boo Bears?
Well, they can go on a little different allperfect.com,
Mhm.
or they can just contact me at anitatelle.com. So that's probably the easiest one, anitatelle.com.
Okay, we'll put that in the uh, post underneath the video. And then also whenever, because this is open to you, but also to all the previous guests on our Facebook page, Confidence Strategies 101, that is a place as a guest you are able to post any upcoming news, anything that you want to share with our community. It's growing little by little. It's a very organic process. It's not one of those things where you can buy followers or that to me is just it's not my style. It's not my approach. So as we go, it's growing a little bit. I'm getting, requests to join the group because sometimes people just need a place where they know they will always find positivity.
Yes.
So that's what we're going to do. Or that's what we're doing.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
Well, thank you. I know we've spent actually a little bit more than an hour, and Brandon's probably wondering what happened to his mom. So
no, he's 18 right now, so he is.
Yeah.
Don't you forget that.
Yeah, that's. So, well, thank you so much, and please don't forget to put your website and how can people help in some way with taking a boo-boo bear on the next trip that they're able to take,
Yeah, they need to travel. No one has been traveling. Did you see the one that I put up with the boo bear with the mask?
Yes.
He was so cute. I was like, oh, you gotta have a mask. You gotta. So.
No, I love that. Of course, because children are we are leading our children by example.
That's right.
And boo-boo bears can also help guide them and lead them. So thank you so much, Anita. Thank you
for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon because
right.
We are definitely going to be doing some more things with reading ritual. I've got all these ideas spinning. So
wonderful.
Good night.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you all of you that were tuning in. Again, we're going to try to just put the information on how to get a hold of Anita and buy. Christmas is coming, and if you have little ones that you would like to give them these books and boo-boo bears, they come with the bear. So we will definitely get that information out to you. It's such a wonderful way to just share more positive vibes and kindness and to help another little human being. I really, really love this segment that we did tonight, and I just feel lighter. So thank you to Anita Telle, and thank you all of you for staying with us tonight. I just want to say thank you to our sponsor, Music City Hit Factory. That's another place of positivity and growth and community that I'm involved in, and it's one of my favorite projects. It's a big project, so I will keep you all posted. Again, just thank you for your support. We love it when you share the videos and like and make comments. And thank you to Veronica and Dr. Kat for tuning in this evening. And we will see you next week, 7 o'clock. Stay healthy, stay safe, and we will continue to thrive. We will continue to evolve. And there's always something to be grateful for. I'll leave you with that. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night. And thanks for tuning in as always. Bye-bye.